to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
We are, we're pleased to be back in 2024. Thank you for all your support to date. And, well, it's that time of year, isn't it?
Is it? What does that mean?
You know what it is. You've been looking forward to it because I've got a feeling you're going to be a bit of a smug bastard by the end of this.
I was just admiring our new artwork. We've got new artwork.
Yeah.
Take in the glorious bodies that we hide under our shirts every week that we do this show.
Absolutely.
Very accurate.
Yeah. Very, very accurate.
Yes.
Never saw myself as a middleweight, but I'm taking it.
Yeah. Whereas I'm probably down to bantamweight there, really.
You got your shorts on.
I've got my shorts. They're nice checkered shorts.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
They're good. Anyway, I love this episode.
Yes, I know.
I'm a huge fan of doing these predictions things.
Yes.
It's actually harder than it looks, though, I would say.
Okay.
But I think it's loads of fun. Last time we did this, it was about an hour and 45 minutes. We were just rambling away and chatting and banging on about it all. So, so we'll see. Maybe this will have to go out in 2 parts or something like that. We'll have to see.
We've got to just wait and see how it all goes.
Yeah. Did you have a good New Year, Christmas?
It was all right. Yeah. It was all right. Big old family do. And then New Year's Eve, had a few drinks with some friends. It was all right. You?
Yeah, it was good. I've just been banging out Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation. That's like the best thing in my life. It's so amazing.
You got to have dreams, mate. You got to have
dreams, mate. Saving New York City. Don't worry about it.
If you've not listened to this show before or watched this show before, what we do is we look back over last year's predictions, who we thought who would end the in 2023 as champ. And it's a mixed bag. And I think when we look at some of the champs, some of them are a little surprising in the middleweight division. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to... Blake is going to tell us who we predicted at the beginning of 2023. We will then discuss who is the current champ, and then we will also make our predictions for who we think will be the champ at the end of 2024.
Yes. Shall we get into it?
Yes.
Right, let's start, if you don't mind, with women's flyweight.
Okay.
We both said that Amanda Nunes would be champion at the end of 2023. That's just a big shot of my face there. And now possibly zooming into my crotch. I don't know what you're doing. If you're watching this on YouTube, mate, you may have just got a big shot of my crotch on the artwork there. But yeah, we both said Amanda Nunes. We were both wrong, because even though she did not lose her flyweight belt, that championship is vacant. And I don't know about you, I haven't picked a champion for 2024 in the women's featherweight. Featherweight is what I'm talking about. Why have you got a picture of Zhang up?
Because we're going to move on to...
Oh, yeah, we will. Sorry, this is going all over the shop now.
You've been with us on this journey. Yeah. You know that we're not tech heads. We're trying to get all the visuals on the screens. So if you're listening to this, apologies. If you're watching this, bear with us. You know how it works.
So basically, we both picked Nunes. We're both wrong because she retired.
Yeah.
The quote vacated, retired, all that stuff. I don't think the UFC have got any interest in carrying on with the women's featherweight division.
It doesn't feel that way.
Yeah. So have you picked a champ for featherweight? Because I haven't.
I didn't know.
No. Right, moving on. Hey! Strawweight, a much better division. Women's strawweight. We both picked Zhang Weili to be champion, and we were both correct. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Zhang Weili is there, holding the belt in all her glory. We both picked Zhang.
What a champ.
What a champ. She had a fantastic year winning against Carla Esparza.
Yes.
And did she defend the belt? I should really have looked this up properly, but I can't remember. Did she defend against anyone, or is she just waiting to defend?
I can't remember. I watched on a sort of slightly different note. I watched the new Thug Rose documentary.
I'm yet to watch that.
It's fantastic. It's available to watch for free on YouTube, and obviously it shows the fight she had with Zhang. Really, really good watch. I mean, nobody seems to know what Rose is doing at the moment. There's been no sort of talk of fights or fighting, so she's not ranked currently. So don't really know if Rose is going to feature in too much. Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see. But going back onto Zhang Weili's year, I was wrong. She beat Carla Esparza in November of last year, so that didn't even count. So she's been the champ the whole year, only defended the belt once, and that was against Amanda Lemos.
Of course.
In August. So, yeah, not exactly been an active champion this year. Hopefully she'll be more active next year. But what are you thinking for the strawweight division by the end of 2024, Stu Whiffin?
She fights Zhang.
Yeah. There's been a lot of talk of that.
I think she beats her.
Yes.
And I think that's going to probably happen maybe sort of middle of the year, perhaps.
Okay.
And then I think there could be the potential for Zhang Rose 3 at the end of the year. I think Rose might make a return, and it could potentially be a massive fight against Zhang. And, I mean, I know Rose
has got 2 wins over her.
Yes. Yeah. And so if that fight happens, I fancy Zhang this time. I thought it was very, very tight.
It was.
On the second fight. So I'm going to pick Zhang to retain the belt this year.
Nice.
And yourself?
I do think that she will have to fight against probably Yan Jinan.
Mm-hmm.
There is talk about her going up in weight to fight Grasso. I don't want to see that. Mm-hmm. I think Grasso's got plenty of people at flyweight, which we will get into. And I think Zhang has got a few contenders down at strawweight that still need to be sorted out. So, yeah, I've no interest in any kind of champ fights. Mm-hmm. There's talk about maybe they do it at UFC 300. I mean, UFC 300 is a bit all over the shop at the moment. We don't know what's going on there right now in terms of headliners. There's talk of Leon versus Bilal, but I don't know if that's a UFC 300 headliner.
No.
So
there is a potential good one for that, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
All right, so I'm going to keep a tally.
You keep a of what we had last year.
We're 1-1 at the moment.
All right. So here's my prediction for 2024. Tatiana Suarez is going to be champion at the end of 2024. She's going to beat Amanda Lemos at UFC 298.
Uh-huh.
And I think the UFC need to act quickly with Tatiana Suarez. I think she's incredibly talented. She's about 10-0. She'd be 11-0 after this. She's very big for the weight class, a very dominant wrestler. She smashed up... Who did she beat most recently? She beat Jessica Andrade in very comfortable fashion quite recently. And I think she beats Amanda Lemos, and then she fights for the belt against Zhang Weili towards the end of the year. And that's it. New champ, Tatiana Suarez for 2024.
Big talk.
Big talk, baby.
So let's move on to Mr. Pantoja.
Oh, yeah. Well, you predicted at the end of 2023 that the flyweight champion of the world would be Figueiredo.
Okay.
I predicted Alejandro Pantoja. And if I remember correctly, you were thinking that was quite an out-of-the-box pick. At the time, Stu Whiffin.
If I remember correctly.
Like having listened to it back only a few days ago. So I believe that's a point for me and a big 0 for you. What are you thinking for the men's flyweight division at the end of 2024?
So I think they'll make another Moreno fight.
Well, Moreno's got to get past Albazi first in February.
And Albazi is somebody who I don't think anybody's going to be overly excited to fight. He's a killer. He's
a very good fighter. But Moreno will be his toughest fight for a long way. I mean, his toughest fight to date was Kai Kara France, and that was a controversial split decision win.
It was. I want to keep an eye on Cape as well. I think that's somebody to keep a close eye on.
He's fighting Mateus Nicolau coming up. He's got a loss to Nicolau, but it was in that stretch when he first came into the UFC, and he lost to Pantoja and Nicolau. But he's looked good since. And the beef he had with Israel Adesanya at the press conference
for Kai when he was fighting Kai.
When he was meant to be fighting Kai. That really, I think, raised his profile
massively. Not necessarily for all the right reasons. He said a few bits of dumb shit.
Well, I think that was in the cage afterwards, wasn't it? Yeah, that was him in the cage afterwards. That was really, he dropped some homophobic slurs, which I was really disappointed in. But the press conference stuff that he had with Izzy, I thought was kind of fun, and I think really raised his profile. And I think the UFC could consider giving him a title shot if he beats Nicolau.
So who are you picking?
Who am I picking? I'm not happy about my pick because I just don't know. I think this is a really difficult division. We've already spoken about Albazi. Mm-hmm. If Moreno wins, he could get another shot. But should he get another shot at Pantoja when he's already 0-3 against Pantoja? I don't think so. Nicolau's not really moving the needle if he beats Cup, but we'll have to see. Mokaev's fighting Perez in March. If he wins that fight, I think he'll still need another one.
Yep.
And it's just whether the timings work out for him. This goes against a lot of my kind of slight ageism that I have with my UFC champions, particularly in the lower weight classes. But I'm going to stick with Pantoja.
You and me both, brother.
Really?
Yeah.
He's going to be 34 in April.
Yeah.
I think he's got the number of Moreno. I don't think Moreno beats him. I don't know if timing's going to work out for Mokaev, but if it does, really interesting fight. I think he's already beaten Cup before. I think he can do it again. Albazi, tough fight, but I think Pantoja's just a really good all-round fighter.
Absolutely.
So
he can wrestle when he needs to wrestle and absolutely nullify fighters, which we've just seen
against Royval.
And wasn't the most exciting fight, but he done what he needed to do to retain the belt. And also, I listened to him on Ariel being interviewed. Just one of the nicest guys. Yeah. And know that confusion when the kids got in the octagon with him at the end, and people were saying, "Oh no, it was Gilbert Burns' kids that with the Strickland incident," and it was Gilbert Burns' kids, and it was also Gilbert Burns' kids with Pantoja's kids in the octagon afterwards.
Really?
So they're best buds.
Okay. Oh well, that makes sense.
And so their kids all hang out together, and so when his kids got in, Gilbert Burns' kids got in there as well. That's what they were dicking about.
I've never wanted to know Portuguese more than what I do right now, because I'd love to hang out with Gilbert Burns and Pantoja. I think they seem like two really lovely blokes.
Oh, mate, honestly, like it was the episode after the fight when he was on Ariel's show, and just such a lovable guy, really, really nice.
Wasn't he doing like Uber Eats driving, like
right.
only a little while before getting his title fight? He was driving for Uber Eats because he just needed extra money coming in because he wasn't fighting enough and he wasn't earning enough, which is crazy. I think it was like less than a year before becoming champ. He was driving for Uber Eats in some of his spare time. That is mental.
I love these stories, man.
It just endears you to fighters,
doesn't it? At that high
level of the sport.
But that's what they should be fucking marketing.
Yes.
Not like, Cape just gobbing off and, the Strickland stuff and all of this stuff.
They don't want to market that, though.
Of course
they don't want to show people that, hey, one of our top 5 ranked fighters is
got a part-time job.
Yeah, that doesn't... Like, I think even Stipe with his, firefighting stuff... I mean, I don't know that he was told anything official by the UFC, but I got the impression that maybe it wasn't the best look for the UFC for a guy to be just having any other job other than being an athlete for them. And I can understand it there's a lot of criticism about the lack of fighter pay and all that stuff. So
100%.
People then driving for Uber Eats and a year later becoming champions is not the best look for the UFC. But
okay, so we agree on this one.
We do. I'm surprised you've gone for Ali Pants, but there you go. Women's flyweight.
Yes.
We both predicted Shevchenko to be the champion still. None of us saw Alexa Grasso with her amazing Mexican belt here over her shoulder.
Such a cool belt,
Cinco de Mayo, really colourful belt. It's really cool. None of us predicted Grasso coming. None of us saw that happening. I listened to it back. I don't even think anyone mentioned Alexa Grasso during our chat about who would be champion at the end of the year. So both of us wrong. Both of us wrong by picking Shevchenko. And what a moment it was when Grasso beat her. That kind of neck crank, because it wasn't even a choke, was it? It was a neck crank and the line across her face, the red face and the white line and all that stuff. Amazing scenes there for Alexa Grasso. And then an interesting draw, which I think was, again, another controversial draw there between Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso.
So with that in mind, I'll ask you a question, Mark. Are you interested in the third fight?
I mean, I think it probably would be a good fight, but for me, I predicted last year who would be champion 2024.
Go on.
I predicted 2 years in advance because I'm a real big believer in this fighter, and I've stuck with it because if I can predict 2 years in advance, then you owe me a box of, I don't know, Maltesers or something.
Erin?
Hey?
Erin? Blanchfield?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you said that. I didn't understand a word you were saying. Like Merrin? And I was like, a box of Merrin.
Marin.
Yes, I've gone for Erin Blanchfield. I think Erin Blanchfield, she's only 24 years old. I think she's the future of this division. Even if she doesn't win the belt this year, I think she's got the potential to be a long reigning champion in the future. And I think she's got as nailed on a number one contender fight as you could possibly get, surely, against Manon Fiorot coming up in March. I think she's really shown striking improvements. She is a phenomenal wrestler and grappler. And as I say, 24 years old. If Grosso takes on Zhang in like some kind of champ fight that I'm not really interested in,
She ain't winning that either.
You don't think? Well, you never know. Size matters. I don't know.
Nope.
I don't know. I know you're a big Zhang fan, so am I. But I don't know. But yeah. So you could Grosso. I think maybe she does need to fight Shevchenko again. But Jesus, do we need a third time? I like a bit of freshness.
Is she? Are UFC going to let her sit tight until we see who wins the Blanchfield fight? If so, I kind of think Blanchfield wins this, and then I think she beats Grasso.
Yeah.
And I think we are going. I'm picking Blanchfield for my champ for the year.
Really?
But in 2024, Shevchenko beats Blanchfield.
You mean in 2025?
2025. Sorry. Yeah.
We're just getting used to the 2024 stuff, aren't we? It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Blanchfield because, like you, I do think she's the future of that division.
Yep. I agree. So we're both going for Erin Blanchfield for our women's flyweight champion. Let's move up to what I found to be one of the most difficult divisions to pick for. And I think I still haven't got my pick. So during this conversation, my pick is going to manifest itself. I've got a slightly similar problem with middleweight. The men's bantamweight division. Now, last year, I picked Aljamain Sterling. Mm-hmm. You picked Marlon Vera. Mm-hmm. Both wrong. Sugar Sean O'Malley just lived up to the hype, lived up to the stardom, knocked out Aljamain Sterling.
Spectacularly.
Was it first round?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal stuff. We've got O'Malley versus Vera coming up at 299.
Who wins that?
I mean, it could go either way. I think Vera could win that fight. My problem is, okay, let me lay out why I've got such a difficult time picking this champion. Let's say O'Malley beats Vera at UFC 299. There's a world in which he goes full Conor McGregor and just goes and boxes Gervonta Davis, who I believe might have changed his name recently. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But he could go and box him, or he could fight up at featherweight. Like he made a comment about Ilia Topuria being his Eddie Alvarez and stuff like that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah, good luck. But yeah, I think there's a world in which he goes up and fights featherweight. So he could defend the belt in March and then not defend it again for the rest of the entire year.
Okay.
In which case, O'Malley is your champion. If Vera wins, I think he'll be way more active because he's not as big a star, even though he'll get a bump from beating O'Malley. But Vera's shown real deficiencies in his ground game. I think Merab beats him. Corey, we saw beat him already, and I think that could happen. And outsiders for the belt, you've got Yadong taking on Peter Yan at UFC 299. Same card as O'Malley versus Vera. If Yadong wins and then he gets one more win after that, he could get a title shot by the end of the year if the belt is being active. And not to mention, everyone could move up 2 spots in the rankings very easily because Aljamain Sterling is moving up to featherweight. He's taking on Calvin Kattar, I believe, at UFC 300.
I believe he is.
Yep. So he's going to be out of the rankings, so everyone's going to be up one. And Henry Cejudo is taking on Merab, I believe. I don't know if that's officially booked yet or not. I can't remember. But
That's an interesting fight.
That's a very interesting fight, and that has a lot of permutations with like whichever one of those wins. Because I think Sean is going to be very picky about who he defends against, but we'll get into that in a minute. But Henry Cejudo, if he gets beat by Merab, could just retire.
Yeah.
I think it's a very big possibility he could retire. So everyone in that bantamweight division could move up 2 ranking places by kind of March, April, if everyone's done by then. So there's lots of moving parts, and Sean O'Malley's stardom could really mess this up if he wins. I do think Sean will be picky about who he defends against if he beats Vera. Cejudo is someone I can see him fighting. Because I think he'll see him as old, a little bit washed up, whatever, a very hittable... so I could see that happening, and there's some cachet to beating Henry, I think, and the build-up to the fight will be big because they do talk, even though they talk some nonsense a lot of the time. So, yeah, I'm a little bit lost on who to go for.
That's a money fight because, Cejudo is always Cejudo. Irrelevant to the last fight, he's the king of cringe, isn't he? And, and it will make for a lot of trash talking and hype around that fight. There's the backstory with Merab and the Michael Jackson jacket and all of that.
Does he want that smoke from
Merab? I
Merab?
don't think he does. And the fight that I think would be the most exciting fight is Sugar versus Corey, because I like the fact that they're both rangy, they're both got a very similar sort of stature. Corey maybe a little bigger. I don't know.
Corey also recently has proven that he is happy to be a bit more boring and wrestle people.
See, that's my worry, that last fight, just his stock with the UFC may have just gone, I don't know.
I mean, he did do it with a torn tricep, to be fair.
He did. We're massive guests of, former guest of the show, Corey Sandhagen. Go check that episode out. I think Sandhagen beats Sugar.
I think so too.
And that's if that fight happens, I'm picking Corey Sandhagen as my champ at the end of this year.
Yeah, but
I don't think so. I think Merab deserves a shot.
He really does.
And it's whether the UFC think that whole kind of avenging Aljo's loss and the whole kind of the jacket hype, is that going to be big enough to sell that fight? Sugar sells fights.
If he beats Cejudo, then that really helps him beating a former champion and beating someone.
And it's a shame that he has to do that because he should be getting that shot.
Yeah.
That title shot has not come his way because he didn't want to fight Aljo. How much has that pissed off the UFC as well? The fact that he should have been fighting for that belt, but he chose to say, I'm not fighting my teammate. I get it, but so I think if it happens and Corey gets to fight O'Malley, I'm picking Corey. If that fight doesn't happen, I'm sticking with O'Malley.
There's no ifs in this game, mate. You
O'Malley.
pick one fighter.
No, fuck it. Corey Sandhagen.
You're going for Corey.
Yep.
I love you for it. I do love you because I genuinely believe Corey Sandhagen might be the best bantamweight in the world.
Oh, yes.
Is he going to get the opportunities? And this is what worries me is...
When you said about O'Malley going to be careful with who he picks, I don't reckon he wants that heat.
I don't think he wants Merab or Sandhagen. But also on top of that, I don't think it's just like, this makes it sound like I'm saying that that Sean O'Malley is like scared or something. I don't think it's fit. I think he's also like, well, who's going to make me the most money? I think O'Malley is like one of these more intelligent fighters that are going, what's the money like?
Yeah.
What's the biggest payday I can get? He's picked Vera because he believes he can beat him, and he believes that the win that Vera has over him was like a fluky win.
That's not the money fight, is it? That's personal, I think. I do think he wanted to avenge that.
I think there's money in it.
He's Sugar. There's always going to be money in it, but I don't think he's going to get the money that... There's bigger fights. Cejudo, if he wins, that's a big money fight.
Yes, I agree. So I think Vera O'Malley makes more... I've just thought something horrible, but I'll tell you that in a minute. But Vera O'Malley makes more money than O'Malley, Sandhagen, or O'Malley versus Merab.
Yep.
Cejudo is the one you throw in the mix and go, ooh, that could be a little bit of, get those pay-per-view numbers up.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be right for the UFC to do it. But let's say that there was...
You're scaring me now.
There was some controversy.
Okay.
A bit like last time where O'Malley's like, no, I'm undefeated because he just did this weird leg thing and that doesn't count. Like, let's say something like that happens again, or there's a controversial stoppage or decision, or the judges get it a bit wrong, or something like that. Even though Vera is 2-0 up against O'Malley, could they go, well, let's just give O'Malley an immediate rematch?
100%.
You think they could do that?
All day long. Like
that worries me.
He's, you know, he's finding himself, you know, fast becoming kind of McGregor status of like, I can do what I want. Like, look at him. Look at that picture. Like, he is a rock star, isn't he? And like, he's like, young fans that are getting into it are going to look at him. All of these kids that love their YouTubers are going to look at him and just think, this guy's fucking so colourful and interesting. And look at his highlight reel. It's phenomenal. It's like that Conor McGregor highlight reel from, you know. And I do think that the UFC are going to do whatever they can to keep that level of star status.
That's what I think as well, Cyrus. Yeah. I don't think he's the best guy in the division. The thing is, if you ask me now who's going to win between Vera and O'Malley, I think I'd pick Vera. But something in me just goes, they're just going to do everything they can to keep him the champ.
Yeah. Who are you picking?
I've got to go with one. I'm not happy about it. I would love it if Sandhagen was the champ by the end of the year.
You can only pick one, mate.
I know. I'm just telling you what my heart wants. If Sandhagen was a champ, I'd love it. I don't see it happening.
All right.
I am going to go with...
Ding, 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 ding,
Vera!
Oh!
I'm going to say Vera wins and then has to fight him again and wins again. Oh, now I'm thinking I should have gone O'Malley. It's locked in. Vera.
Right.
Oh, I don't like it. I don't like the pick.
Okay.
But I've gone for it. Right. Women's bantamweight. We both said Amanda Nunes would be champion. We're both wrong because Amanda Nunes retired, as we've already mentioned. One thing I did like to point out is you were really predicting big things for one Ketlin Vieira when we recorded this, including a title shot at the start of 2024. She went 1-1. 2023. So there you go.
You've got a very good recollection of this, considering you haven't really been listening back to that episode.
Yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Yes, so we've got in January in Toronto, 297, Maya Bueno Silva will be fighting Raquel Pennington for the vacant belt. I'm just saying now, I think Bueno Silva's my pick to remain champion. She's going to win this fight. She's going to remain champion. I don't think there's much going on at bantamweight. I don't think it's a great division at the moment. She was on a 4-fight win streak and was unbeaten at bantamweight until her win against Holly Holm was overturned because of a positive drug test. But it was for, and I've got my notes here, Ritalinic acid, which is for ADHD.
Ritalin.
Is that what that is?
Ritalin's a drug, yeah.
All right, well, they said Ritalinic acid, so I'm getting very...
Well, it must be some sort of subsidiary within that, but yeah, Ritalin's...
Oh, I didn't know you knew so much about drugs, Stu, with him. Oh, God, I run a nightclub and I know all about the drugs.
Ritalin's it was a proper 80s drug. Kind of kids that were like, back then were referred to as being hyperactive, that was the terminology used then, were given Ritalin. And I don't know if it's still a thing. It must be if there's traces of it in a...
Yeah, well, it's for ADHD.
Yeah.
So she had to sacrifice 15% of her purse because she didn't get like an official exemption for it.
Oh, okay.
But it's not like she was on steroids or anything like that. So she only had a 4-month ban. Her last 3 wins have been by finish. I just don't think that it's a great division. If Shevchenko decides to move up in weight, just like fob off Grasso and just go, I'm just going to do this bantamweight thing, because I think that will improve her legacy more than going after Grasso again. I think that would be a better thing, and that might put the cat amongst the pigeons a bit, but I'm sticking with Bueno Silva.
Okay.
What have you gone for? Women's bantamweight.
Shevchenko.
Yeah, she's moving up. Does she fight Grasso as well, or does she just move up?
I think she moves up. I think, like... I don't know. I think she just... Is there big money in her fighting Grasso? Like, I don't know. Like, I think there's other fights in that division, and I think maybe she might not be... I mean, arguably one of the greatest to ever do it, Shevchenko.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
But I think, them 2 losses, it was a loss and a draw, wasn't it?
Against Grasso,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
She
yeah.
lost the belt and then she drew against Grasso in the rematch. In a fight that, had the judges scored it, don't get me wrong, I wasn't unhappy with the result being a draw because it felt like a fair reflection of the fight. But in terms of breaking down the judges' scorecard, there was one judge that I think maybe gave like a 10-8 to Grasso or something like that when he shouldn't have done. And everyone was looking at that scorecard going, that's not right.
It shook up the division a little bit, which it needed because Shevchenko had cleared it out. And I think that's why no one really thought Grasso... Well, that's why Grasso wasn't in the conversation we was having this time last year.
Yep.
So it shook it up, which I think is interesting. I think Shevchenko goes up, and I think she wins the belt. So I'm picking Shevchenko. Who are you picking?
Bueno Silva. Bueno Silva.
Okay.
So let's go to men's featherweight. We both picked Volkanovski. We're both correct.
2-time former guest of the show, Alexander the Great Volkanovski.
So, this is going to be a really interesting year. Really interesting year. If Volkanovski beats Topuria in February, I believe he's the oldest champion ever below 170 pounds, or even including 170 pounds as well, I think. As we know, you don't age well in those lower weight classes. So to be a 35-year-old man and still be champ is a huge achievement. If he beats Ilia Topuria, that really is something. So it's a big fight in February, man. Coming back 4 months after getting knocked out really badly by Makhachev. Oh, it concerns me. It really does. I really wish he had waited another month or two to fight. But this is Volk. He wants to remain active. That's his whole thing. I can really see this going either way. I think Volk, after getting beat by Islam in that close fight, smashed Yair Rodriguez, absolutely dominated him, no problem. Since that knockout against Makhachev in their second fight, it's like, is he going to do the same to Topuria? I don't think he... I think he can win. Is he going to dominate him like he did to Yair? I don't think so. I really rate Topuria, so I really don't know how this is going to work out. But I do think if he loses, he gets an immediate rematch. So he does have 2 bites of the cherry to try and remain champion. If he loses that rematch, which I think could probably happen in the summer, because again, Volk doesn't wait around. If he loses in Feb, he'll probably fight again in June or something like that. So then there's another stat for you here that I looked up. Former champions rematching immediately the guy that beat them for the belt. There's been 14 of those immediate rematches. Only 4 champions have succeeded in reclaiming their belts. That was Randy Couture, Amanda Nunes against Pena, Davison Figueiredo against Moreno, and Israel Adesanya against Alex Pereira. So the odds aren't massively in your favour when you go into an immediate rematch after losing your belt. If Topuria were to win both of those, then I think he might have to fight Max Holloway before the end of the year. You've got a little grin on your face there. But if Volk wins the fight in February, then the division is wide open. Max hasn't got a sniff because they can't make Volk Max 4. The winner of Yair Rodriguez versus Ortega will be in the running, but again, Volk smashed both those guys. Arnold Allen versus Evloev is coming up in January. If they actually do something good on the mic after a win, especially an impressive win, a finish, something like that, then they will be, I believe, the highest ranked fighter to have not already fought Volkanovski. And that, to me, makes them the front runner. So in my ideal world, we would see Volk beat Topuria, Allen beat Evloev, and then we get Allen versus Volk. And
the 2 nicest guys in MMA.
Nicest guys in MMA.
Yeah.
I think a dark horse might be Josh Emmett. because if he gets a fight against Max Holloway and wins it, then he gets a shot. And again, former guest of the show, Josh Emmett, lovely man. It's always nice to see
unless he's standing
people.
opposite you in the octagon.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I still have like little nightmares about Bryce Mitchell's body.
Jesus Christ.
That was awful after that huge right hand from Josh Emmett. So there's a lot is riding on February's fight with Topuria and Volkanovski. See what happens. I'm gonna go with, at the end of 2024, he's a special man and he's still doing it. Volkanovski is still the champion at featherweight. I've kind of gone a little bit heart over head there, if I'm perfectly honest, but he's such a lovely guy and he's so talented. It's not just, he's nice. He's one of the most talented fighters I think we've ever seen.
If we can ignore the last Islam fight, no one would be doubting Volk in anything.
No way.
So I'm very similar to you on this. Like, fucking hell, it hurts me to consider saying the words that Volk's going to lose to Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia Topuria is a very dangerous fighter. And I think he's got everything to play for here. And as has Volk. Volk wants to redeem that loss to Islam, I'm sure, and show that, you know, he is the best flyweight in the world, featherweight. I think he loses to Poirier. He loses the rematch. He retires. In the meantime, Max Holloway beats Josh Emmett, and then Max Holloway absolutely humiliates Ilia Topuria. And we finish the year with Max Holloway the champ.
Mate, I love it. I can see it. I mean, humiliates, I think, is very strong.
No, he's going to do a number on him.
Like a 50-45's him.
Like, who is it that he was literally fucking talking to Dana?
Calvin Kattar.
That's what we're going to get. Because Topuria's game as fuck, we know that.
Yeah.
But, like, you put Max in that kind of level of pressure, that's when you see the best of him. And I hope I'm saying this and I'm getting it wrong, and what we do is we get the similar thing, but with Volk, we see the best of Volk. That's what I want more than anything. But just watching Topuria's rise at the moment, and just the fact that I worry that Volk, like you, has not had enough recovery time, and he's not going in with somebody that's going to wrestle him. He's going to go in with a fucking guy that's got dynamite in his hands.
Yeah.
And I worry that Volk, being the guy he is and the fighter that he is, and the reason that we all love that is the fact that he's game. And I just think, don't stand and trade. Don't acknowledge them big shots from Topuria as well. Don't do that, Volk. But yeah, I think that we finish the year Max Holloway champ.
I'll tell you what, it'd be a fun year. I mean, not for Volk.
Yeah.
But it'd be a really interesting. It would break my heart to see Volk get knocked out.
No one wants to see it. No one wants to see it.
See him lose 3 on the bounce.
Yeah.
It would
I don't like saying it out loud. It's horrible.
You're saying it. I have been thinking it.
Yeah.
I have been thinking it, and I've been worried about it for some time.
And Arnold beats Evloev, and then maybe he beats Ortega, and then we get Arnold Allen, Max Holloway 2025, and that's when we see the boy from the UK become the champ.
Maybe.
Close last time.
It was a close fight last time with Max. I mean, Max is such a great fighter. I mean, it's a shame that Max and Volk can't both be champ at the same time, because I do love them both.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so you're going with Max Holloway. I'm going with Volkanovski.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Topuria is the champ by the end of the year. I do think he's brilliant. But let's move on to lightweight.
No one's found his number yet. And I think if someone's going to find Topuria's weakness, it's going to be Volkanovski or Max Holloway. They're the two guys that have got that level of experience. What Topuria hasn't got is the experience that these guys have got. They have been in absolute wars with the best. And, this is a massive, massive step up for Topuria. And I hope that the experience isn't there. But also, for the purposes of the sport, you want to see new champions come through. And, it's sad to say goodbye to, older fighters that you love. But, the sport has to evolve. And I think at the moment we're seeing the evolution of Ilia Topuria. And I think it's going to be exciting. But
I agree. Yeah, he's 14-0 at the moment.
I just think Max Holloway's the guy that's going to find him out.
Well, maybe. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, looking back at Topuria's record, I mean, obviously he had that. He beat Ryan Hall very comfortably. Jai Herbert, which he lost that first round to Jai. We were cage side for that one.
Look, we've just been. I've just said that bloody Volk's going to lose. Let's not start talking about another mate of the show and bring that knockout again.
No,
Jesus
that was
Christ.
a devastating knockout. Then there was Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
And then Josh Emmett, he beat as well. I mean, he's looked really, really good, Topuria.
Josh is great, but the level of competition...
There's levels. Volk and Holloway, as you say.
Yeah.
They're a level above Josh Emmett.
I'd be interested to see how Ortega would deal with him.
Topuria? I think Topuria would beat him. Because I think Topuria hits really hard, and Topuria's got good wrestling, and I think Ortega can lock up subs and stuff, but no, I think Topuria would do it. But hey... we may find out. Let's go to lightweight. And this is the moment where we have to just take a step back and think back to Stu. Don't play it too early. Stop it. We have to set it up because I picked Islam Makhachev, so I get a point to be champion by the end of 2023. So I don't know if you want to note that down, Stu Whiffin. But Stu Whiffin picked Dustin Poirier to be champion by the end of 2023. He said that Volk was going to beat Islam, Poirier was going to beat Dariush, a fight that never happened, and then Poirier was going to beat Volkanovski. We have to just listen to this.
You absolute prick. The fact that you downloaded this clip, sent it to me, and then went, "You happy to show this?" Unbelievable.
Oh, what do you think?
I think Volk beats Makhachev.
Oh! He's going big!
I think Dustin Poirier beats Beneil Dariush.
No.
And then Dustin Poirier beats Volk and finishes the champion.
No way. Oh my God. You have to break this down for me. What the hell? Yeah, at the start you had me. I was like, oh.
So
the heat that got me from fucking people.
That was an unbelievable pick. I think you even picked Volk to knock out Islam, and I was like, he doesn't knock anyone out of featherweight. Like it was a really out. If it had happened,
I went rogue. All right,
you went so rogue. Isn't even the word. I mean, that was mental.
I have had conversations with my mates. Shout out Reese. Right, I've had chats with him about that Poirier fight could have happened. There was a world last year where that was only one fight away from happening. It could have happened.
Well, no, it was like two, wasn't it? Because Poirier would have had to accepted the fight against Dariush, which he was never going to do after the Conor fights. And I can't even begin. It was such a mad pick.
Okay, right.
Who you got this year? Benoit Saint Denis? Jalen Turner? Who you got?
Fuck me, I would not want to fight Benoit Saint Denis.
No, I love Benoit Saint Denis. Benny Saint Denis, love him.
Right. So, do we think Islam beats Charles?
Yeah. And that fight's not officially announced.
Oh, really?
No, it's not officially announced.
Okay.
So it could be Gaethje. I think Islam will fight twice this year.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I don't know. I think I'm switching things up now. If let's say Charles wins.
Go on.
Charles is the champ. We have said that there is a world where, let's talk about Chandler, Poirier, Gaethje, Conor. Mm-hmm. Right? These people only want super fights. Mm-hmm. Okay? Chandler Connor's happening.
Yeah. Apparently.
So let's say, and it's going to happen, Chandler knocks out Conor McGregor, right? So Chandler is arguably one of the biggest names in the sport then. Does he fancy Charles for the belt? I don't know. Will he be? I mean, if he's fighting,
He would. He'd fight for the belt for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if Charles would want to beat him again.
I don't know. I don't know. In a world, it would be amazing if Charles beats Islam, beats Gaethje, and
Why would he fight Gaethje again?
and then at the end of the year, loses to Dustin Poirier.
Oh,
no,
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
not.
Oh, here we go.
No, I think
I would actually quite like you to just stick with this gimmick.
like
Just Poirier.
I can't. Islam. I can't see anyone stopping Islam at the moment.
This was probably the easiest pick for
Yeah.
me. I think the two people in line for title shots are Gaethje and Oliveira in whatever order they want to do it. It's possibly going to be Oliveira then Gaethje, but I don't think they have enough
I agree.
to beat Islam.
I agree.
I think Islam beats both of them. The only thing that will beat Islam Makhachev at the moment is the weight cut. Will he move up to welterweight? Because he has mentioned it a few times and he doesn't like cutting down to 155. That's the only thing that will get in the way. Does he move up and fight Leon or someone
Do
like
you
that?
think that's why they've not announced that and they've not announced Leon? Do you think that could be happening at 300? No, of course not. No, it's too soon. Too soon. With
The only reason I think it probably wouldn't happen is I believe it's during Ramadan. But from what I hear, Bilal has fought through Ramadan before, and so he's willing to make that sacrifice. And he hasn't got much of a leg to stand on in terms of like, he's not got pulling power. If he gets a title shot, he needs to just take it.
Yeah.
Islam, on the other hand, can call the shots a little bit more. So I can't imagine him wanting to put himself through a training camp during Ramadan. So I don't think that would happen. But I think maybe in Abu Dhabi, if Leon was up for it, if Leon beats Bilal and then goes and fights in Abu Dhabi in October against Islam, that could definitely happen. But I don't want to see it. I want to see Islam fight Gaethje. I want to see Islam fight. The person that's the biggest threat to Islam Makhachev, I believe, is Arman Sarukian. I don't think that fight will happen this year. I think Arman's going to find it difficult to get fights, and I don't think they're just going to be able to throw him into a title shot. So I don't see that happening. I think it'll be Islam versus Oliveira and Gaethje this year, and I think he'll beat both of them and remain the champ by the end of the year.
Oakley dokley. Right. Okay, let's move on. And what we'll do is skip past that video again. We don't need to see that.
We both got points for that, by the way. No, I ain't got points for that. Sorry to rub that in. Just making sure you're tallying up the points, mate.
Yes.
Welterweight. You said Hamzat Chimaev. I said Leon Edwards. So that's another little point there. While you've got your pen in your hands, you can give me another point. So, yeah, as we said, Leon most likely to fight Bilal and then possibly Shavkat, unless something goes on with Islam Makhachev. The talk of UFC 300 for Leon looks like it's pretty much set.
That's what I've got.
Yeah.
But I think there's a world, looking at what's been in the media this last week or so, for 300, there is a chance that there's that Masvidal beef. And, like, does Masvidal get the Leon shot? I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Do I want to watch Leon versus Bilal? The fair man in me goes, of course. Like, Bilal needs that shot. He's currently living a Leon Edwards life of just sitting in the rafters waiting to get his shot. Do I want to see Leon Masvidal? A much more winnable fight for Leon? Yes, I do. Like, I'd love to see that. But if he beats Bilal or he beats Masvidal, the next person in line is Shavkat.
Yes.
I worry about that. And so with that in mind, I mean, don't get me wrong, we know Shavkat can wrestle. You know, we can know he's really well-rounded. Don't doubt Leon Edwards. Like, we've seen him rise to the occasion time and time again against wrestlers, you know, and we've just seen him, you know, do a nice little number on the melt. On my notes here, I've got Shavkat.
I think it's a good pick.
I don't know.
Really? I thought you seemed quite strong on your Shavkat. Have you literally changed within
I'm
the last
just
few seconds?
thinking about Leon. Like, he wants people doubting him because he just time and time again just goes, bosh, have that. And, like, fuck it, I'm sticking with Leon.
Really?
Yeah.
I've kind of gone the same.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Shavkat might be the best welterweight in the world. I just think there's lots of ways that Leon could potentially avoid him. If he's fighting...
Not beat him, avoid him.
Avoid him. And again, that's not me saying Leon is trying to avoid him. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if he does have to fight Bilal at UFC 300, that's April. Mm-hmm. Will he fight in, like there's rumours of a Manchester card in July? That's quite quick turnaround for Leon, April to July. That could happen.
Yeah.
But I think there's a world in which Shavkat might have to get one more fight, might have to get one more win, and that could be Kamaru Usman, it could be Sean Brady. Both really tough fights, but I think Shavkat probably wins them. There's a world in which, as we mentioned, Islam steps up and Leon goes, do you know what? I'll fight Bilal and then I'll wait till October and fight Islam if he wants to do that. Make way more money doing that than fighting Shavkat. And I would say Shavkat's a tougher opponent than Islam because of the size. There's also a world in which, and I wrote this before Conor McGregor's announcement, but there is a world in which Conor McGregor's announced that in June he will fight Michael Chandler. Now, either one of those guys that win that fight, obviously Conor being the superstar, but even if Chandler wins that fight, Chandler's star rises that bit more. Whoever wins that fight at potentially 185 pounds, but it might be 170 just because Conor said it's 185 doesn't mean it is 185. But regardless, you could slip either one of those into a lightweight or a welterweight title shot. Again, do they deserve it? No. But is it big business? And if you're Leon Edwards, are you going, would I rather fight Shavkat for half the money, or would I rather fight Conor for triple the money, or Chandler for double the money, or whatever? Like, those are the options that could be given to Leon Edwards. And you're going to take it. So I predict that but the Bilal fight's tougher than people give it credit for. A lot of people put stock in that eye poke fight that they had a couple of years ago, where Leon did beat him in round one. I think Bilal has improved. I think Leon's improved. But I don't think because of that fight you can just say, Leon's going to win. I think I will favour Leon in that fight, and I would certainly favour him against Michael Chandler or Conor McGregor. I would favour him against Masvidal. I don't think that will happen, but I would favour him against Masvidal if that fight were to happen. The only other outlier, if Shavkat's injured, because Shavkat's having ankle surgery, I think, at the moment. So Shavkat might be out a while and then have to get one more. Burns is fighting Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 299 in March. If one of them turns around, particularly if it's JDM, if he turns around quick, gets another win in there, maybe against the Sean Brady or something like that, he could be thrown in. And you know what it's like with the UFC at the moment? It's not always about who's the rightful contender. It's about, we're doing a card in September. Leon said he's up for it. Are you available? Yeah. If the answer's no, we'll move on to someone else. And that's how Sean Strickland got his title fight.
Yep.
You know, they're not always the best at making the right fight at the right time. Dricus du Plessis should have fought Israel Adesanya.
Yep.
Instead, he had to fight Robert Whittaker. And then he wasn't ready for the Australia card, so they brought in Strickland. There's permutations that happen that shouldn't happen necessarily. And there's a world in which, as I say, if Shavkat fights for the belt, I think he ends the year as champion. But Leon, there are options for him to, again, not purposefully avoid, but just chasing the money, all that stuff, avoid Shavkat Rakhmonov. And so I am picking Leon to end as champion the year 2024.
Both of us. Okay.
Middleweight.
It still blows my mind seeing him that fucking strap over his shoulder.
Look at him, Sean Strickland, as the middleweight champion of the world. So I said Alex Pereira would win and remain champion at the end of 2023. You picked Robert Whittaker, which I think there was probably sound logic to that at the time. Pereira, I believe, was champion. We didn't have the immediate rematch with Izzy would happen, and if Pereira won that rematch, he remained champion. Whittaker, before the Dricus du Plessis loss, was the odds-on favourite to get the next title shot. So there was a lot of logic in that, but sadly...
There's no logic in picking Sean fucking Strickland.
There was no... It's so true. There was way more logic in picking Alex Pereira or Robert Whittaker to be champ by the end of 2023, but we are staring at a very hirsute... Sean Strickland with the belt over his shoulder. Yeah, I mean, man, what a crazy year. And this is the division that I've probably had the most difficulty
There's
picking a
so
champ.
many weird things that could happen here. So many weird things, right? Hamzat, we've seen pictures of him looking very, very poorly, right?
Yes.
So we don't know how his recovery is, like how much that's took out of him, how long he's going to have to get back to fighting at, presuming middleweight.
He could get an immediate title shot.
Okay, so let's start first of all, like Strickland Dricus, right? I'm going to say Dricus wins this.
Right. I have no idea.
No.
Toss a coin. I don't know.
Do you know, I think the dark horses in this division?
Go on.
Brendan Allen.
Yeah.
So he's fighting Vettori.
Yes.
And if he wins that, that's going to put him, what, 6, maybe 6, 5 or 6?
Something like that. Look, I'll check. Keep going and I'll check.
And so I think if he wins that, you know, in the early part of this
He'll be
year.
fifth.
Pardon?
Marvin Vettori is ranked 5th. So if Brendan Allen beats him, he'll be ranked 5th.
And so that's going to put him in a nice little position. Potentially needs one more win, but
I'd say so. But again, availability is your best friend.
But this is what I'm
people
thinking.
Are injured
and I'm thinking, if Dricus wins, then do we see Brendan Allen, Sean Strickland? Potentially.
That would be a rematch. I think Strickland's beaten him in the past.
Oh, right, okay.
But,
okay.
I mean, you could still make that fight.
I'm not suggesting Brendan Allen's going to be the champ at the end of the year. But, excuse me. Sorry, I'm still trying to deal with having to swallow the fact that Sean Strickland's the champ. I think Dricus could potentially hold on to it this year.
Okay.
And I think if he fights Hamzat, I think there's still a possibility. If we've seen this new Dricus now
nose job Dricus
that's got cardio for days, then I don't know. I think we could see him beat Hamzat. And, you know, it's a big fucking statement now. I understand
don't know how
that.
I feel about that one. That's a big statement.
But he's looking better. Who'd have picked him to beat Bobby Knuckles?
No, very true.
Like, I had Bobby Knuckles to win the year, you know, to be the champ at the end of the year. And
he didn't look himself in that fight, I don't think. I've got no follow-up to that. I just don't think he looked right, Rob. So he might have just had a bad night at the office.
Yeah, oh, he clearly was. And fuck me, I fucking love, you know, Bobby Knuckles. He's the man. I love him. Yeah. But I think we're going to see Dricus, Hamzat, I think, at the sort of mid to late point of this year. And
does he walk straight into a title shot, Hamzat, or does he have to get one win?
I think he gets the title shot. He's such a big name.
He is a huge star.
And he's the way that he's kind of, you know, he's been out for a long time on and off, and you know, I don't know if the UFC are frustrated with him. I mean, if he's ill, obviously. You know, that's
those
not his
images
fault.
on our
Looked
socials
fucking
look
harrowing.
horrible. He looked like being stung by bees, like that girl from, what was the one, Macaulay Culkin?
Oh, my girl.
My girl. Jesus.
I can't believe you just brought that film up. Jeez, man, I'm going to go again. That fucking broke my heart,
Was
that
it
film.
Macaulay Culkin that got stung by the bees?
Yeah, he died.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Film's 35 years old.
I'm going to say Dricus.
Well,
But say Dricus beats Strickland or Strickland beats Dricus. Let's say if Conor fights at middleweight.
No, that's not going to happen. If he was going to get a title shot, he'd go for a striker as light as he can get them, and it's Leon. That fight makes loads of sense. Leon versus Conor would be. I mean, Leon I think would smash him, but that would be the fight that you do. I would think.
Yeah.
I don't think he goes and fights Sean Strickland or Dricus. Jesus.
All right.
Yeah. So you're going Dricus.
Yeah.
Interesting. For me, I really don't know. If Dricus du Plessis smashes up Sean Strickland in the first 7 minutes of that fight and wins the belt, I would not be surprised. If Sean Strickland goes 5 rounds and 49-46 is Dricus, I would not be surprised. So I find that really difficult to pick who's going to win that fight.
What a mad fight we're discussing for the belt.
I know, man. I know. And they've just had a tear up in the crowd where I think Strickland admitted to trying to bite him or was going to go to bite him and then stopped. I don't know.
Right. Oh, another new thing I didn't know about him. What a guy.
What a guy. Whittaker is fighting Paulo Costa at UFC 298. You could see if Whittaker wins or if Costa wins, because Costa's got like a bit of a following now. That could be a fight to make. And I think Strickland, if he wins, will turn around quick. I think Strickland will be active. One thing, as much as you might not like a lot of what Sean Strickland says, as a fighter, I think he will be incredibly active. I think he will fight every 2 months if you let him. And I think that he could fight Robert Whittaker. He could fight
I do not need 6 Sean Strickland press conferences in 2023, mate.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. One name, because I had Hamzat down here, and I not as my pick, but as like a possibility. But one name we have not mentioned is Israel Adesanya. And when he comes back, he will go straight into a title shot. Does he go and fight Pereira up at 205? He's looking beefy in some of his social media pics. Does he...
I don't like that.
Right, okay. Well, I quite love it, actually. But I think that could be a UFC 300 main event.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal fight. Izzy, Pereira, 3 for the 205 belt. That's a great fight.
I'm not liking Izzy at that weight.
Yeah, but if he's got to beef up. He's got to put on the weight. He can't do it like he did against Blachowicz, which maybe he's not got enough time to do, but we'll see. Anyway, Izzy could get straight into a title fight. He could fight Dricus. There's a lot of heat there. That fight makes all the sense in the world. He could fight Strickland in the rematch. That would make all the sense in the world. There's a lot of options for Israel Adesanya to come back and fight immediately for a belt, and not just for a belt, but with storylines that people are interested in. It would make money. It would cross over and transcend just the hardcore fan base. So I think that's a real possibility. I was just thinking to myself, who would win in a fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Israel Adesanya? And for me,
Khamzat.
I think I'm leaning Khamzat.
Yeah.
So my pick for champion at the end, not that that fight's necessarily going to happen, but if it did, I think those two are the best middleweights. I think the Sean Strickland thing, I don't understand it. I still can't compute it with Adesanya. But I think those two are the best guys, and I think Khamzat might be the best one. And I think the UFC needs to stop messing around and just give that man a title shot. And if he gets it, he wins it. Khamzat Chimaev, champion by the end of 2024.
Well, we've just spoke about him, and there he is, looking terrifying as ever. Pereira. So we're talking the light heavyweights now. Who did I pick last year?
We both said Magomed Ankalaev.
Interesting.
I'm going to just say now, I'm sticking with it.
Dude.
You're sticking with Ankalaev.
Yeah.
I think he was really unlucky.
Yeah.
He was unlucky with the Walker fight last. Well, he wasn't unlucky.
Well,
he threw an
they're
illegal
rolling
knee.
that back, right?
They're running it back, but he threw an illegal knee. He should have just been disqualified. But before that, with the Jan Blachowicz fight, it was a close fight, but I think maybe he nicked it. I'm trying to remember now. I haven't watched it for a while. But I think Ankalaev was unlucky at points. He maybe could have already been a champion.
Yeah.
I do believe he is the most well-rounded, best light heavyweight on the planet. I do believe that. I think he beats Pereira. I think he beats Prochazka. I think he beats Jamal Hill. I just think he's the best guy, and I don't think he put in maybe the best performance against Jan. He let Jan get off to like a good start with the leg kicks and all that stuff. But I just think Ankalaev is the guy to beat in that division. Obviously, there is no title fight made yet, but Yuri Prochazka is fighting Alexander Rakic at UFC 300. That's a really big fight for whoever wins that. They could, with a finish, leap over Ankalaev in the running. Ankalaev's still got to beat Walker. I believe it's the first card of the year, January 13th, so about a week away.
I get the impression the UFC aren't big fans of Ankalaev. And, he had, what was the really dull fight? What was it?
Well, I think Dana hated the Jan Blachowicz fight. I don't think it's as bad as
It
Dana
was. It
said
was a Jan fight. Of course it was.
I don't think it was that bad.
No.
But I think it was actually quite interesting with the leg kicks and all that kind of stuff. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite crazy. I mean, when I picked that, I thought I was being a bit rogue, and you've mirrored it.
Well, I picked 2 years in a row. I think I've got to stick with this.
Yeah.
I can't jump off the Ankalaev train. I've been saying for years now that I think he's the best light heavyweight in the world.
Yeah.
It's got to come to fruition at some point, and I know what'll happen. I'll pick someone else, and then it'll win it. So
I'll tell you what, get commenting if you're watching us on YouTube or you're listening. This stuff will all be on the socials. Let us know if you think we're way off the mark picking Ankalaev and who you think will take that light heavyweight strap. Well, look, that was easy business. Should we move on to the big boys?
The big boys. Now, this one is difficult. I've basically got it down to two people, and I think it might be quite obvious who those two people are. And I'm just going to go the opposite to you, just because why not? So at the moment, so last year, I said John Jones. Mm-hmm. So I get a little point on the board there. Yeah. And you said Francis Ngannou. And to be fair to you, you didn't know what was about to happen with Francis and going to PFL. And Francis, after the display he had against Tyson Fury, has still got a claim to be in the best heavyweight, the baddest man on the planet.
Mate, not just that, one of the best heavyweight boxers on the planet at the moment. He just literally took Tyson Fury to school. Like, whether he's going to, I don't know. We don't know what's next for him. Whatever it is, I hope he just continues to make a load of money and do what he does, because what an absolute gent he is. So the two people that we're talking John Jones and we're talking Tommy Aspinall, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, do we think John Jones, Stipe Miocic is going to happen this year? I don't think it is.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it is, and I think we don't see Stipe fight again, and I think Tom fights John and wins.
I think you're very, very wrong. I hope you're right. I believe Tom Aspinall is the best heavyweight on the planet. Mm-hmm. I believe he beats John Jones. Mm-hmm. I don't see why John Jones accepts a fight with Tom Aspinall when Stipe is still around. Mm-hmm. And I don't see why Stipe turns down the opportunity to to get a boatload of money against John Jones in his final farewell fight for a title.
I'd love to see it.
I wouldn't love to see it. I think it's a terrible fight. I have no interest in it whatsoever. I really hate John Jones versus Stipe.
It makes loads and loads of sense for the UFC. It makes loads and loads of sense for John Jones and Stipe Miocic because they have not got to fight Tom Aspinall.
I hate it so much.
And I think that John Jones knows he can beat Stipe. I think Stipe thinks he can beat John Jones. I think both of them will look at Tom Aspinall and look at their date of births and think, I don't know if I fancy this fella. And what we've seen this last week is Tom start to be a bit more outspoken about the situation. And it's like...
rightfully so. He's putting pressure on.
Absolutely. Like, this guy has just absolutely destroyed Pavlovich. Mm-hmm. No one wants to fight Pavlovich, and look what Tom Aspinall done to him. Absolutely fucking smashed him. And it's like, yes, there's a world where Tom fights Curtis Blades. I'm not in a massive rush to see that. I think you've even mentioned that before, that's probably I think that's the worst matchup for Tom in the heavyweight division.
I agree.
I don't know if the Cyril Gane fight happens with Tom Aspinall in the meantime, if we are going to see.
I think it does.
So I think Tom still beats Cyril Gane and comfortably. And if John Jones fights Stipe, I think John Jones will win. And it's whether or not all of this stuff will happen quick enough to enable it to be at the end of the year, we see Tom versus the winner of Jones Stipe, which I believe will be Jones, and then we'll see Tom finish the year with the belt.
I don't think. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I would love to see Tom Aspinall fight John Jones. I'd love to see it. I don't think it happens. I think John Jones retires after fighting and beating Stipe.
And Stipe too?
Oh yeah, Stipe retires as well. For me, this whole answer is based around, does John Jones vacate the belt before the end of the year or not? Because obviously he's got to have this pectoral surgery or whatever it is.
I did not consider this.
When does John Jones vacate the belt? Does he vacate the belt does he fight Stipe in November, a year later than what it was supposed to be, at Madison Square Garden, huge event, Stipe Jones, we had to wait an extra year for it, blah, blah, blah. Does he vacate the belt in the cage and retire? And then you've got maybe Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades for the full-on vacant belt, or maybe you just make Tom the official champ, especially if he's defended the interim belt against Cyril Gane in, say, July or June or whatever it is, then that makes a lot of sense that you just give him the undisputed title. And does he fight Curtis Blades after Curtis Blades, I think, would beat Jailton Almeida in a fight that's coming up soon? So they rematch that in December or something like that. Does that happen? Or does John beat Stipe and then just leave us all hanging for a while?
Probably.
That's what I think could happen. So I've decided I'm just going to go for the opposite to you. Who are you? Are you going for
Tom?
Tom, you're going for Tom. I'm going for John Jones then.
Okay.
I believe John Jones beat Stipe
Through
Miocic.
circumstance.
Well, yeah, he will defend his belt against Stipe Miocic, and he just won't fight anyone, and he won't give up the belt. That's what I'm thinking. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I think this heavyweight division...
It's a very, very possible situation you're talking about there.
Yeah, this heavyweight division has been the most exciting it's been for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And Tom Aspinall is at the forefront of that. He's really driving that forward.
Yeah.
Him fighting Cyril Gane makes a lot of sense. Him fighting the winner of Almeida Blades makes a lot of sense. A Pavlovich rematch at some point will make sense. I'm sure there's other guys in that. Is it Justin Taffa that looked really good recently? I need to pull up my rankings. But there's plenty of guys at heavyweight that I think eventually he will have to fight and will be really fun fights. I mean, look, I know he doesn't deserve it, but Derek Lewis is always a fun fight.
Man.
I know he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying, at some point, Derek Lewis only needs to get like one win. Taito Ivasa as well. He's nowhere near a title shot at the moment, but they've only got to get one big knockout against someone in a top 10, and you could throw him in against Tom.
Yeah,
you could definitely do it.
Blades he's got the very strange, fight with Tom that at some point I think we will see again. But yeah, all right. Well, there's our picks.
Do we want to go through them quickly or anything, just to remind everyone of what we
have you? I can't remember what I picked now.
Oh Jesus! So for strawweight, I picked Suarez. You picked Zhang.
Yeah.
For men's flyweight, I think we both picked Pantoja.
Yeah.
So for women's flyweight, we both picked Erin Blanchfield.
We did.
And for bantamweight, I picked Vera, and you picked... did you go Sandhagen in the end?
I went for Corey.
You went Sandhagen. Women's bantamweight, I picked Bueno Silva, and you picked... Shevchenko stepping up in weight. I picked Volk to remain champ at featherweight, and you picked Max Holloway in quite a great turn of events that would be really interesting. Lightweight, I picked Islam, and you picked Islam as well, I think. Welterweight, we both went for Leon. Middleweight, I went for Hamzat Chimaev, and you went for Dricus.
Biggest Dricus, yeah.
And light heavyweight, we've both gone Ankalaev.
Yeah.
And for heavyweight, you have gone Tom Aspinall, and I have gone John Jones.
Let us know your picks. Get commenting. If you're watching this on YouTube, get involved in the comments. Let us know all of your picks. Let us know if you think I'm completely fucking wrong with all of my choices, and or let Blake know that he's got it all round his head.
I think we picked a lot of similar ones.
We did. We went similar.
At points.
Perhaps we're spending too much time together now. We're thinking the same.
Definitely.
And if you're listening to this on whatever podcast platform you are, then if you want to let us know your picks, drop us a message on Instagram or Twitter. Let us know your picks. Thanks ever so much for supporting the podcast in 2023, and we are promising you that we are going to really sort of continue with trying to deliver this new look show and really grow it in 2024. And it's been wonderful having all your support so far, and we hope we deliver some great stuff to you this year.
Before we go, what was the scores for the 2023?
I've just put my notes away.
Oh, do you want to get the scores out?
You're asking me to humiliate myself. They're on your screen right in front of you. I know they are. I bet they fucking are.
No, they're not.
You got 7, I got 2.
Fine.